get ready to embrace the mystical, nature-filled world of Innisgreen from the Enchanted by Nature expansion pack. This world is rather lush and has a total of 3 neighborhood areas and 14 lots. We'll start out in the most unique and magical area, being Everdew, which has 5 lots. This has perhaps my favorite area in any world, being the giant tree that has a lot in the middle of it. It just feels like a bit of a special spot, and of course it has stunning views. Plus, who doesn't love a giant tree? If you cross the bridge from here, you'll then enter onto a pathway that leads to a magical stone called a starseed teleporter. Sims can use this stone to teleport to a range of secret worlds or remote locations, costing 1 fairy dust to teleport a single sim or 2 fairy dust to teleport a group. From the Starseed, you'll be able to teleport to the Sylvan Glade and Forgotten Grotto, and provided you have the relevant packs, you can also teleport to the Magic Realm, Alien Homeworld of Sixam, and even Mount Komarebi's Peak, which is pretty neat. Branching out from this stone are lots of paths. One passes a woohoo bush that leads across another small bridge. This then brings you to a cute lot on a small hill, and in front of the lot is a path with some colourful plants as well as a usable fairy house. Down from this path, you can cross some shallow water to a small empty island that can make for a cute campground, and there's a fairy home within this island too. From here, you can cross another shallow area of water to reach the side and back of a large lot. If we then head back to the teleportation stone and take another path, you'll see it curves around to bring you to this large lot. And there's a fair bit of open space that surrounds this lot, as well as an aura blossom plant. Then again going back to the teleportation stone, following the final path to the side will bring you through some trees. On one side of this path is a small picnic area and an apothecary table which you can use to craft various elixirs, cures, and potions, provided that you have the relevant ingredients of course. And there's also a woohoo bush nearby to this too, which we love. To the other side is a lightning root plant, and just be careful when harvesting this as there's a risk of electrocution. If you get electrocuted, then avoid trying to harvest it again until the dazed moodlet wears off, because otherwise your sim might just die. This path then leads to a really cute fairy hub building. All sims can use the building as a toilet or to sponge bath, and additionally to learn some Everdew and fairy lore by choosing to learn about Everdew history or investigating fairy court documents. Additionally, regular sims can research how to become a fairy here, and conversely, fairy sims can research how to return to being a regular sim. But perhaps the best thing about this building is that once every 24 hours, fairy sims can collect a fairy dust ration of 5 fairy dust, which is pretty useful. Surrounding this building there are lots of cute paths and grassy grounds, and notably you'll find the Fairy Council liaison Karen or Karen here, who can give you a few fable quests, including one to unlock your very own starseed teleporter. Note that fables can be taken on from the story section of friendly interactions. Also surrounding this hub is another fairy home, and one thing to note is that as fairies interact with these homes in the world, they can gather fairy dust that you'll then be able to shake from the house and collect from time to time. There's also a fable board surrounding this hub as well, with these boards letting you view the all-important sims that can give you fable quests to complete. Notably, one of these sims being the mystical fairy Zalia Armani will often be beside this board too, offering a fable for you to complete. Also surrounding this hub is a swing set and 2 more lots, one of which has some beautiful pathways surrounding it, and here you'll find a moody shrub which is great to harvest for some bottled emotions. Nearby to the fairy hub and the lot with the cute paths is where you'll find the Moondrop Springs, which is a shimmering body of water that feels somewhat alive. If Mother Nature has charmed your sim, then this spring is where a sim will be able to complete their transition and become a fairy. However, there's also a lot more going on here. The springs will rotate through different moods, with its mood changing every 12 hours at midday and midnight. And once every 12 hours, you'll be able to bottle a spring's emotion potion that will match the current mood of the spring. The spring's color will also change depending on its mood, and you can even ask the springs to change its emotional state to one of your choice, which is more successful if you're closer to Mother Nature. Additionally, Sims can bask in the emotions of the springs to slightly improve their fun need. And for fairy Sims, this is also a great way to replenish their emotional force need. Just don't overdo it, as this can leave your Sims dazed. On top of this, within the shallow waters of the spring, Sims can wade and even bathe in the water. Plus, if your Sim is suffering from an ailment, then they'll be able to manifest ailment relief within the Moondrop Springs. If successful, this will cure or shorten the duration of your Sim's ailment. However, note that success isn't guaranteed, and that if you fail, there's a 4-hour cooldown before you can try again. The final thing that you should know about this area is that it's visited by a lot of fairy Sims and plant Sims. Notably, you can ask plant Sims for magical beans and forbidden fruits. They'll give you magic beans if they're in a corresponding mood to one of the 6 that exist. So for example, if a plant Sim is in a playful mood, then they'll give you a playful magic bean. On top of this, you can straight up ask them for a forbidden fruit of the plant Sim, which is a pretty cool fruit, as eating it will temporarily turn your Sim into a plant Sim for 5 days. Overall, while Everdew is pretty compact, it's also a highly interactable and rather beautiful area that can be really fun to live in, especially for fairy Sims, and it looks a little extra magical at night as well. Now let's move on to Sprucederry Grove, and much like Everdew, this area has 5 lots. It also kind of reminds me of Henford-on-Bagley in that it's very green and very lush. We'll begin at the large Fern and Frond wading pond park, which is super cute and has some daisies to the side of it. And upwards from here is a large park that has a seating area and a woohoo bush. Surrounding this park are 2 more very cute lots, and right between them is a path that leads to a fable board where you can again view the Sims who will give you fables or missions to complete. Speaking of them, Joe Trader, who offers 2 fables, will often hang out besides the board. Behind this is a super cute red house that doubles as a used bookstore that you can donate books you no longer need to, or even purchase books from at a very small discount. This bookstore is surrounded by pathways, and behind it is another small park with a woohoo bush and a bench. To one side of this is a path leading downwards to a small pond that you can fish at, while on the other side there's an apothecary table and a store run by Todd Attenberry, who is another Sim that can offer you fable quests. His store also sells a lot of different emotion potions and ingredients, and occasionally even stocks emotion stones that can be shown off or used to bottle up an emotion that your Sim is currently feeling into a potion. Nearby to this area is a larger body of water as well that Sims can bathe in and hang out around. But then if we head back towards the center of the neighborhood, there's a few more points of interest. This includes a glasswood tree, and you can select summon on this to bring forth Spruce Almighty. You can ask Spruce about their creations, being plant Sims and gnomes, to find out more about them, and you can also ask them to help you with your luck and even gardening, provided that you have some plants for him to care for. They're also a hottie, so potentially some father potential there, and they even offer a fable which requires you to interact with colored mushrooms to solve various riddles. And these mushrooms can be found close to the glasswood tree. Completing this fable rewards you with your very own glasswood tree and some Everdew seeds that can be used to grow moody shrubs, aura blossoms, and lightning roots. Very close by to the glasswood tree within Sprucederry is a gardening and live houseplant supply shop which sells seeds and pot plants. And perhaps much more interestingly, it also sells a range of Everdew seeds in limited supply. If you have the Eco Lifestyle expansion pack, then it also sells hydroponic planters which are usually very tricky to obtain. So it's a nifty store. Nearby to this area, you'll find a space with a mushroom circle, which comes into play when completing Glen Gnome's Rise and Shine fable, and you'll meet this character soon. There's also a small park with picnic facilities, and a little behind this area you'll find some additional lots and some open space that has a couple of random harvestable plants. And now let's move on and take a look at the final area within Innisgreen, being the Coast of Adhmor. And this land is all about gnomes. This area is quite small in size and for the most part is just covered in brightly coloured houses with curved roofs. which I must say are rather charming. There are 4 lots that blend in pretty well to the overall vibe of the space, and mixed in with the streets and houses are a few open spaces with some sitting areas. There's also a small park that has swings, a picnic area, a bathroom, and a fable board too. Just like in Sprucederry Grove, Trader Joe will sometimes hang out near this board as well. But perhaps the best feature of this area is across the road from the park, around about the middle of the neighborhood. Here you'll find a gnome stall that sells both food and gnomes. Importantly, Glenn Gnome, who runs this stall, has 2 fables that you can take on as well. Now, besides this stall is a very interesting giant gnome statue. In addition to reading the statue's description to find out a bit more about the Great Gnome, you can also interact with it to change your Sims luck. Attempting to kick the Great Gnome can lead to your Sims luck decreasing, while conversely asking the Great Gnome for good luck can improve your Sims luck. However, just be aware that this won't always be successful. If you complete one of Glenn Gnome's fables called My Sleeping Giant, which is very easy to complete, then you'll be awarded with the Now You Gnome trait, and this allows you to appease the gnome by offering them a gift. It's a little bit similar to appeasing the gnomes during Harvest Fest, and if successful, the gnome will give you a gift back. Just be warned, because if the gnome is displeased, then it can give your sim an ailment instead. Nearby to this is a large rabbit hole grocery store that sells a range of different foods as well. Now, while we've explored Central Adhmor, the area is called the Coast of Adhmor, and we definitely haven't looked at the coast. Most notably, the shoreline features the Captain's Quarters fishing shop, and as you'd expect, you can buy and sell fish here, with there being a well-placed fishing spot just in front of it. Nearby to this fishing shop is a large swimmable body of water that surrounds a shipwreck on a small island. Of course, you can use this water for bathing too, and even view the historical monument plaque on the shore to find out more about the shipwreck. A final note about this area is that it's strongly discouraged to use fairy magic here, and being caught doing this here can see you be punished from the Fairy Council in the form of the Problem Fairy trait, which prevents you from collecting your daily fairy dust ration at the Fairy Hub. You can get rid of this pretty easily though by appealing it at the Fairy Hub or paying a liaison like Karen a sanction fee of 100 simoleons. And that's a look at all of Innisgreen's secrets and features. Honestly, I think it's a solid world. My only wish would be for some areas to be a little larger to allow for some more exploration. That being said, it's both interactable and feels alive, which is a big win. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then consider checking out some of my other videos on world secrets and features. And I hope you have an amazing day. See you later.